Hey, welcome back, everybody. My brain went then. So are you standing out or are you shrinking back? I shrunk back then because I went off on one. Tonight, great episode. I've been so looking forward to this, Allison. Joined by Allison Angel from your style. Oh my God, my brain.
Yeah, no, years of style.
Years of style. That's
years
what I
of
said.
style.
That's what I said. Everyone else heard something completely different. So tonight I'm excited because obviously we're in the same mastermind. We've done a couple of rounds on Clubhouse together. That was pretty cool. So I knew so much life, Allison, and I know just we've had a bit of a chat before coming online, and oh my God, I'm excited. So tell us very briefly in a few words a little bit about yourself, Allison. Let's hear all about it. Come on.
So I really am an angel, as in, the surname. And I help women look and feel the best they've ever felt in the clothes they wear.
Brilliant. I like it. But you haven't always done that, have you?
Bold claim, I know.
Bold claim.
I haven't always done that. It's quite a new business. I'm in my launch phase. For 20 years, I was in property. I had my own boutique letting agency in Manchester. So I guess I've gone from curb appeal to curb appeal.
I love it. But I think it's the first time, I think we've even been on a screen together, because on Clubhouse is obviously audio for those that maybe haven't done that before. But it's like on Clubhouse, you brought that into the room whenever we did stuff. And I know some of the things we were talking about is quite deep, really. I know. But you bring that with you wherever you go, I feel.
Thank you. That's really nice to say, Matt, because sometimes talking about painful times and trauma, it does feel a bit heavy and it can get deep. And, I think it's when you're 10 years recovered from all of that, you can just bring a new perspective to it. And I always say now I see it as a gift, because I've developed so much from that. I've learned so much about myself, recovered my true identity. And so for that, I'm thankful.
Brilliant. If you've got any questions, feel free to drop them in and we'll put them up on the screen and see where we're at. But obviously I want to find out a bit more how you've got to where you are now. So you said you had your own property business. I know when we spoke the other day, and I guess last year, is what happened last year, did that kind of define this shift into, working with women and style, or was it built?
I had a stunning year last year on so many levels. And the reason I say that might surprise people who are listening in or watching, because I actually started the year 2020 with a cancer diagnosis. I had skin cancer on my scalp, and I literally was a week out of surgery when we went into lockdown 1.0. And, as much as I'm an open book, people say I do vulnerability quite well. I would normally have shared something like that, carefully, of course, at the time. But I just felt like I didn't want to burden more people with everything that we were going through as a nation with stuff like that as well on top. So I just went through that with my family. And then when lockdown came, I wasn't eligible for any of the government financial support because I was a limited company director. So as well as recovering from the surgery, I had to make a decision to sort of furlough the team. And I became a one-woman machine in my business. Everything, came home, and I was doing stuff on group Zooms with my clients and things, just coping like I tend to do. And, in May, my youngest son ran away for 3 days. That was pretty traumatic because we didn't actually know where he was at all. We were homeschooling. My husband was shielding. So I had to do the food shopping, which, as some of you will remember, used to take 3 hours at a time. And you had to do that 2 and 3 times a week because there wasn't the stock levels. I was volunteering for my church. I was doing, I think on the write-up I mentioned a program called Celebrate Recovery Mat. And I'd actually at this stage become a team leader in that program. So I was looking after those people going through that. I worked for a charity doing marriage seminars that never quite came to pass because, you know, we couldn't meet in person. And my husband and I pioneered a thing called Couples Talk on Zoom. What else happened? Blimey. I had a car, somebody ran into me and I was out of action for a couple of weeks, car accident. Then I'm going to take a breath in a minute. Then in September, just as everybody was looking forward to the kids going back to college and school, my eldest son had a horrific injury at football and broke both the bones in his leg. So is it the tibia and the fibula? And because it was COVID, he had to have emergency surgery to put a titanium rod in his leg. And he was 17 and I couldn't be with him. You know, that was really hard as a mum. But we got through it. He came home. I was in full-on care mode. And I got approached by a company I'd sold some of my business to some years prior. But I wasn't in a state of like a distressed seller. I know you've been buying up businesses, Matt, recently, but I was quite happy either way to hang on to the business. Actually, we had quite a profitable year because obviously all the overheads got cut. But in the end, I decided, you know what? I've been doing this 20 years and I fancy a change. But I sold the business not really knowing what I was going to do next. All I knew is that I would have space and time to just be for a season and something would come. And something did come, you know. By the new year, I was into the personal style business and the new venture there.
Wow. So, and this all happened last year.
This all happened in 2020. And resilience is my middle name. I just don't know where it comes from, but, you know, you can throw anything at me, but I'll never be down for more than a day.
Well, I can see that. And I think this is what I meant. And I didn't realize half of what you just said happened last year. And I think this is why I was so looking forward to getting you on, because this was the feeling I got when we were in some of those rooms in the clubhouse. And I know there wasn't many in there, which is fine, but made it quite intimate. And you were very empathic, you know, with those women that were in there. I think there's a couple of guys. You were very empathic. And I guess because you've been through that, you know, that journey in your own way, because everyone is different with that. But also the way you've described last year, a lot of people would, you know, that would defeat them. And it was, you know, we've all had tough years, but that was your year, and it sounds like a massive freaking roller coaster. But you've said it in such a positive way. And I know we haven't quite tagged into this yet, but having spoke to you offline, I guess, is this a lot down to the faith that you have, and, you know, through God and
absolutely. Yeah. So because of my faith, because I'm a Christian, I just see all of life, good, bad, and indifferent. I see everything as a gift. Everything that happens to me, whether it's some guy smashing into my Mini because he's not paying attention on the road, whether it was, you know, how my ex-husband treated me in my first marriage for 10 years, you know, when Isaac broke his leg, it all, you know, we can either let it define us, or we can just like take it and think, you know, what can I do with this? How can I turn this round? Things happen to all of us, Matt, don't they? But it's not what happens, it's what we make it mean. So I make it mean, you know, I squeeze out of life everything that happens to me.
So do you feel there's good in every situation?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And so obviously when you had the diagnosis last year, I mean, it sounded like you think about other people, for crying out loud, but did it, in terms of did it redefine how you look upon life a little bit as well?
Well, I'd say I was quite fortunate in that it was a very common cancer, not a life-threatening one, luckily, but, you know, still pretty awful all the same. And having to have like, I think it was 8 stitches I had in my scalp. So it meant like I had a pack, you know, for a woman and her hair, it's awful because then I had to like do my hair a different way. But I just got creative with it and put scarves in and, you know, disguised it because, of course, I wasn't sharing what I'd been through, but still showing up on Zoom, looking all like glam and everything. People saying, "Oh, you look amazing," but inside, I know I'm walking through this particular thing. So yeah, it's sometimes as a Christian, I think things happen to me, and it's my story, obviously, but the story isn't just for me. So the story is an experience for me to talk with authority about a subject, like I was doing in the clubhouse rooms. You know, there's something very real when you've walked through it yourself. You've got the credibility.
100%. And it's almost like I'm hearing you talking as well, and I'm thinking, so did that moment where you said, you know, you disguised it with the scars, did that kind of seed what you're doing now a little bit in style? Or
I mean, I'd say I was, because I've got terrific self-esteem now. I mean, you know, I didn't used to. We can maybe go on to that later, but nothing really affects my self-confidence anymore. And so although it was a bit of a blow and having to have the surgery, and it was, you know, I did put a post on a year later and showed some of the pictures when I was going in for the operation, because it's like I said, it's just people wonder like where you get this enthusiasm for life from. How they say like, how could you be so positive about this? And I just see that as a way to share my faith, because, you know, the minute I started to understand God and my faith, everything changed. And I want that for other people. I do.
I know, this is, again, I keep referring to this few moments we had on with the room, and I think it was you and someone else that was hosting this room, and I know I keep going back to it, but sometimes we go through things that aren't very nice, but I think sometimes it's to help people that can't, you know, go on for that later on, really, in a way. I don't know.
Yeah.
I know what I mean.
It's all about compassion for me.
Yeah.
You know, I've got great compassion for, I mean, I always, as an empath, I always did care about other people almost more than I cared about myself. But I've balanced that seesaw out now, where I'm on a level playing field with myself. I'm not coming at things from a deficit of self-love anymore. You know, I know who I am. My identity's firm. My self-confidence is where it should be. And that enables me to not rescue other people, because that's not good, but to empathize is everything.
And I think, Alison, to add to that, remembering some of the things that you spoke about in that room, that the past doesn't define you.
No.
And you've come out so strong.
Yeah. There's a phrase here, Matt, that just sprung to mind, which is, does your story own you, or do you own your story? And that's about a positioning shift, you know, where you go from victim to victor. So
my mum always says you're either a victim or a survivor.
Yeah. So, yeah. Again, the word survivor, I'm not a great fan of. You know, I'm certainly an advocate for living life to the absolute full. You know, people sometimes say as well this thing like, you've only got one life. I actually don't believe that either. I think you got 2 lives. You got this life. This is a temporary life, by the way. I'm going to preach here a bit now, Matt, sorry, but it is Sunday, so I'm allowed to do a bit of holy stuff. And this is why nothing feared me through the lockdown. Even if I got COVID and and died myself. I don't want to sound crass or insensitive, but because of what I believe, there was no fear. So I believe that this life now, me talking to you here on this earth, this is temporary life, right? But I believe when I die and go to heaven, then there I live forever. I have eternal life. So it's like I'm just either in phase 1 or phase 2 of life. God will decide when. So there you go. Forever. I'm happy either way.
Yeah, like it. So I think you kind of asked, I was going to ask what your biggest challenge is and how you overcame it. And I know offline we talked about something a bit different, but to be honest, I feel like this has been, last year seemed quite a lot of challenges and quite significant. And I feel my next question is going to tie in a little bit to something else. So you kind of, because obviously you've taken a shift into, like your style. This is, for you, what you're doing now. What would you say was the biggest, and I think you talked about it in your post the other day, but what is, the biggest why did you kind of evolve into this?
Okay, so for many, many years, probably starting from when I was a teenager, I felt like different from everybody else, like the odd one out. I had a horrible incident one night on a night out with my friends where a group of lads were behind us, said something really derogatory about me. They carried on walking behind us for 5 minutes. I felt very threatened and intimidated, actually. I didn't say anything. I was so afraid and felt so small, even though the comment was actually about my size. My friends didn't say anything. We were all just stunned, I think, really. But that memory, even though I felt like I'd dealt with it, the hurt that caused me, it lay dormant in my soul for about 30 years. And it was only when I was in this program called Celebrate Recovery that the excavation of that incident and like I said before, what I'd made it mean, it triggered into something else that happened to me as a teenager. It latched on to the failure of my first marriage and me feeling completely emotionally bereft and unlovable, really. And I felt for many years invisible. I didn't know who I was. I was insecure. I was looking in the wrong places for things. And all of that programming and life, I wasn't really being me. Well, no, I wasn't being the me that I was created to be. I was being a shadow of me, a lesser version of me. And so the reason I called my company Years of Style was because for me, since I was 11, 12, and being like overweight compared to my like almost size 6, I'd say size 6 to 8, which is very slender. My friends were all very slender and I was probably like 14, 16. So probably 5 sizes big, dress sizes bigger. And I couldn't get stuff off the shelf, off the peg. I couldn't just shop in Manchester Arndale and where all they used to go. I had to really like search out creative ways of dressing to look anywhere near and feel anywhere near decent and worthy. And so because, I've been through a divorce, I've had betrayals in business, I've had so many things like that almost robbed me completely of my self-worth. That's my driver for doing the thing that I do now, because a lot of how we present ourselves in our clothing, some people think it's just fickle and it's just clothes, but it's actually not, especially for women. Our clothes say so much about our identity, who we believe we are. I've put this on tonight because I like dressing quite flamboyantly sometimes, and I've got a style personality that's dramatic because I actually do want to make a statement with my life. I want to stand for things. I want to be an influence, a good influence. And so the minute I discovered that when the jigsaw pieces come together and I match on the outside how I feel on the inside, I mean, don't forget, I've done a shed load of work to get the inside out going again. Everything just came together, and that's what I want to provide for other women. You know, whether they're business owners, entrepreneurs, they're on a grand mission, or even they've just had a season of transition, you know, from working from home for a year, or being a mother and now wanting to get back into work mode. The power of personal style is just incredible.
I think I 100% agree. I think it's a massive thing. I don't know if it's recognized the way it should be. Obviously, coming from a fitness background, and now I've just bought a beauty salon. It was a bit of a surprise, but the two different things, but they're also the same, because it's all about people feeling better about themselves. And yes, you're absolutely right. We have got to start from the inside out, but there's also that work can come from our external, about how we're feeling about ourselves. And yeah, I think what a great thing. I think what a great thing to doing. Definitely, 100%.
There's a question I sometimes ask people, which is, what comes first, seeing or believing? Because for me, I could have, say, 15 years ago, actually worn a really nice dress to an event. And so the sight of me in a mirror would have been okay. But the belief system that I had was flawed.
Yeah.
So I see this all the time. I see women getting compliments. It doesn't land in the right place because they don't believe it about themselves. So, but I guess for me, I did do it inside out, because, I felt good about who I was. And then I just finished it off with personal style. So the exterior matched the interior. But yeah, with style and it's a form of personal brand.
Yeah.
Whether we like it or not, judgments are made in the first 3 seconds or something. And as we start getting back out there into a face-to-face situation, it's more important than ever. And our styles communicates a message without us even speaking a word.
Oh, definitely. I was going to ask something then, and it's gone completely out my head. One of my questions written down. No, great stuff. It'll come back, I'm sure. So, kind of move on a little bit. I know what I was going to ask. So, when you're working with someone there, and obviously you're working out their stuff, do you do any inside work, or is it just purely about? Do you find out a little bit about them, or?
I mean, I'm not a coach or a therapist or anything like that. Sometimes people call it wardrobe therapy, and I guess that there's an element of that. But women will contact me that want to feel more confident, and so it might be that we do a wardrobe edit, or it might be that I take them personal shopping. They might have my style subscription package, but whatever the service, the intention is the same, which is, let's find your unique style DNA. And for that to happen, there's quite an in-depth questionnaire. So there is a lot of get to know you. Tell me really, honestly, how do you feel in your clothes on a day-to-day basis? What's that all about? And so, sometimes sessions could be quite deep, that we could discover something and unpack something. I think for me as well, being, a curvier size, I used to let my size define my worth. And this is an angle that I'm really passionate about, because I much more care about your shape than your size. And for a lot of women, they have curve. Some women crave curve, actually, if they're more athletic silhouette. But a lot of women want to disguise their curve. They don't like the fact that, you know, I've got a bigger, you know, a bigger bust or a curvier hip. And so the art of dressing that, either balancing it out in the silhouette or exaggerating it, because they may want to do that. Mostly they want to disguise it. I was thinking of Kim Kardashian then, about like the really small waist and then the wider hip. You know, that is now a fashion thing. But yeah, so it can get deep. It depends how open, you know, but again, because I've got the empathy and I can relate, and you know, people would look at me and say, you know, you really do accept yourself, don't you, Alison? You know, it's so refreshing to see, because it all starts with self-love, self-acceptance. You know, I've been given these curves. I'm a pear shape. I used to hate my curvier hips and bum. I used to hate it and wish I didn't have them, but I can't change it. So let's look at what I can do with what I've got instead. And that works every time.
I love that, Allison. I can almost imagine the journey you're taking people on. And I think the fact that you kind of go deep, you know, whatever people want to share is what they want to share.
I take my cues from the client. You know, if it's a bit vulnerable for them, of course I'm sensitive to that. But you know, for many women, it could be that they have a breakthrough in the service that they have with me.
Yeah, it's funny how I don't know if it's something that's been trained in us through society. See, when I was younger, and I still am, slim, I was skinny, and I absolutely hated it. And I would try and eat to put weight on, and I never could. And I would try and disguise the skinniness with baggy clothes. Now I look back on photos, like flipping heck. Like or something, and even that stuck with me. And the guy is different, I guess. And the comments that would get made about whatever, and it just what? Come on. So just so I know how empowering, you know, what you're doing for women is massive.
You'll know from people that we meet all the time in Business Mart that somebody could be, you know, you could get a really slender guy, but he's owning it and he's proud of it, and he dresses to celebrate that. And I think that's the difference between, you know, covering up. I know the title tonight is about shrinking back or standing out, and for me, shrinking back is about like not accepting what you've got, how you're going to use it, how to flatter it, how to express yourself. You know, it's a really creative thing. Style.
I love it. What on style? We kind of mentioned this offline, and we talked about Gareth Southgate, didn't we?
Yeah, because you asked me what I thought about the England football team and manager.
Yeah.
And from a spectator point of view, I think he's doing an okay job. You know, the results are coming in. I know he's going for a bit of flack, and my son's like, why is he not putting him on? But the manager knows. You know, the manager knows everything. But what I want to say about Gareth is, do you have to wear the waistcoats, Gareth? I feel like he looks like so super formal, like in his three-piece. I don't know. I think there's different ways of him being, you know, a commanding leader by not wearing the navy blue waistcoat every time.
I do think that's part of him. And I must admit, I watched him last night. Flipping at you in Italy. They said, I can't remember what the temperature was, and he still came out there.
Well, maybe it is him. Yeah, maybe I should slap myself there, because if that's his, you know, for all I know, he has got a personal stylist, and that's his signature look. But I don't know. I want him to like elevate it a little bit.
No, I'm not. I must admit, I'm not a massive football fan. But when the internationals come on, and I was listening to the pundits on BBC, and I really like what they said in that he's stuck to his guns. He's getting flack left, right, and centre, and it's like, no, this is what we're doing, and he's stuck with it. And I think me and you spoke about it a little bit the other day. I think I put a post out, but as an entrepreneur, sometimes we do. Most people just don't get us.
Yeah,
they just don't quite get where our heads are at, and even come up against resistance.
We're in a specific category, aren't we? I mean,
yeah.
Again, it's to celebrate that we have these amazing ideas, probably about 100 a day, of how to make a business out of every single thing that we come across. And it's a missed opportunity. Why are you not doing that? Oh my gosh, you could be doing this with this. But you're right. That's just our sort of entrepreneurial mindset. Well,
we better shout out our mentor, Rob Moore, because I've had a few different mentors, and they're all been brilliant. But this is my current one, or our current one, one of mine. And
yeah,
I think, he's really stirred that up for us, hasn't he?
He is the most prolific marketer that I've ever come across, for sure. I'd say as a woman, though, I also, much as I love our business community, I also have my women's only sisterhood places. And I have a spiritual mentor as well. I have a sisterhood called the Boardroom, full of fierce females. And there's lots of emotional intelligence that goes on in those sessions.
Oh, good.
So I've got a heck of a lot of support. Plus, of course, my family. I have a lot of support of my parents and my husband. My kids now are like, "Oh, Mum, no, don't want to spend time with you. Help me do this reel. No, can't you pay someone to do that? I'll pay you. No, please don't go on TikTok, Mum. If you go on TikTok, I'll never speak to you again." So, I have a lot of support, but just not from the teenage boys.
No, that's fair enough. Children see the world a bit differently. What would you say did you have like an aha moment? You may have kind of said about it, really, but has there been like that, this is it, my aha moment?
The biggest aha moment was me coming to faith, Matt. And the way it was actually weaved together, the journey of me arriving that day in a church in Manchester, even to the most minutest detail of the person stood on the door welcoming people in, used to work in my business 2 years earlier, right? She said, "Alison, what are you doing here?" It was amazing. And to the point where at that time I was heavily traumatized by the divorce I was going through. And I sat in the congregation, listened to the preach. I was crying my eyes out. The message was seemingly perfectly tailored towards my situation. And I was sat on one side, my friend who'd brought me, along with her. And the other side, a lady, didn't know her, stranger. And because I was quite visibly upset, she just said to me, "Are you okay? Are you all right? You seem like really upset." And I said, "Oh, I'm through a divorce, and I started doing that. And she just looked at me and she said, "I've been through a divorce." And she said, "I'm married again, though. This is my husband here." And in that moment, because in a lot of churches, divorce is like really bad thing, And in that moment, I just felt completely accepted. And like that seat was reserved with my name on, and I didn't know it. I mean, the coincidences that happen when I discovered faith, it's not a coincidence. It's a God engineering at work. So
I feel not always, but sometimes when we've been through tough times, that's normally when the door opens for things a bit more spiritual.
Yeah, because up until that point, I was like Little Miss Independent. I don't need anybody. Yes, I was married, but I was already starting to feel quite despondent with life, and that people couldn't be trusted. I can't accept what you're saying because you might not mean it. And, I developed a thick skin. And you're right, Matt, because at that point in my life, I was completely pliable. I was open. I was hurt. I was on the floor, and I was open to discovering a different way of thinking.
And you kind of feel, it sounds a bit horrible, but I know some of the things that have been bad for me, I'm kind of grateful for. Bit the same. And do you feel that, see, a lot of entrepreneurs or business owners I speak to now, and I wouldn't have, I talk about spiritual because I feel there's, like you said, we've got maybe all different our belief systems, but I have found we kind of, like, I've gone a bit more spiritual, maybe in a different way, and very, very broad, but in how I look upon and having that, a faith that's similar to yourself, and it helps for me definitely, and also that self-belief in myself. It's like these two worlds are suddenly crashed together that I definitely didn't. I think I've always had that faith in God. I've always had that. It's just mine's maybe evolved. Yours, it's evolved basically. Do you feel that it's been like having that come together has been?
So where it really started to transform for me was because, as you've said there, you know about God, and that's common for so many people that they know of God. We hear about him at Christmas and Easter and all of that, but the difference between knowing of someone and being in a personal relationship with someone, there's a whole raft of spectrum difference there. I can honestly sit here and say I have a personal relationship with Jesus Christ, and everything I do now has that supernatural perspective on it. And so I'm not just living my life for me anymore. I'm living it for those that are around me, those that God calls me to have an influence with. I'm really not in the driving seat of my life, and I love it. Because having been in the driving seat for 39 years, I was in the driving seat, hands firmly gripped on the wheel, and it didn't go the way that I wanted. And I wasn't a bad person, but stuff happened, and it was that stuff that woke me up to faith. So I now can be a passenger, but an active passenger. I'm not just there like relaxing, going, oh yeah, God, you can sort it out. Oh, I pray to God. Faith is actually an active journey. So yes, I still have to knock on doors, ask for opportunity, but dream big, and then ask God for that. Because God says, what do you want, Alison? But the problem is we stop asking, or we're limited by just what we know, what I know. So I think this level is good, but then God, because he's got a different dimension in life, he'll be like, why are you stopping there? What's that all about? Because he's an unlimited, omnipresent. I know we did a workshop on that, but to me, there's only one person who is omnipresent, and that's God.
I like it. I think sometimes not tested, but when things don't always go away, I think it's because we weren't quite ready for it.
Yeah.
And the message is
God said to me once, when something didn't go my way, lean not on your own understanding, because I've got a plan and a purpose coming from this. Yeah. And then you kind of get a bit giddy because you're thinking, oh gosh, what could it be? Yeah, I know this is pretty crap right now, but I'm putting my faith into the outworking of this, and it's all going to mean something someday. So all the crappy things that I've experienced, they'll all now give me, as I said before, that authority, that credibility for being relatable to my clients. So I'm good with it.
Cool. So moving on a bit, thank you for that as well. I really appreciate it for sharing that. It's time of recording. We're live on Facebook and LinkedIn, and later in about a week or so, it's going to be on podcasts. So, and I have a lot of American listeners, and it's July the 4th. So happy Independence Day to our friends across the sea.
Mm-hmm.
Reason Day, as it's called over it now. I'm joking. I got to get it in. Well, those that know me get my sense of humor. So yeah, happy July the 4th, anyone watching this in America. But Alison, I'm interested though in what independent means for you, or being independent. And I know you got an theory on it.
I've got a bit of an unpopular viewpoint, or uncommon. No, I'm not going to say unpopular yet, because who's judging me? An uncommon, perhaps, viewpoint on independence, because I am an advocate for women's rights, women's empowerment, women equality. But as a female, I don't like being completely independent. However, my dependence is not on another person, because I've tried that in the past. It didn't quite work. You know, people fall short, people let you down. I let people down. You know, it works both ways. My dependence, however, in God, I cannot deny. God has never let me down. God is the same yesterday as he is today, as he will be tomorrow and forevermore. He is awesome. He is loving. He has got such a great plan and purpose for me as his daughter, that he's worthy of being depended on. So, like I said before about being in the passenger seat, he's got his hands on the wheel of my life, and it feels good. So I'm not 100% advocating independent female. I want every woman to know God and know what it is to be a daughter of the Most High. Maybe I should set up a church. I don't know. But anyway, that's just how convicted I am that God is real. God is here. He's here with me now. You know, he lives today. He's not some historical character in the Bible. The Bible is like a living, breathing book, and there's such wisdom in there. You know, when we were on the other day, we were on the Zoom, weren't we? And there's so many things that our mentor does. He is everywhere a lot of the time. And you can't, even just in this one community, have FOMO. And it's a real thing in life, you know. I've got to be there. I don't want to miss out. And I shared, didn't I? This came from my boardroom community. How about we do JOMO, which is the joy of missing out? Because you know what? Sometimes choosing, I don't want to be there. I don't want to do that today. I want to go to a different source today. I want to tap into a supernatural power today. I don't just want to do what everyone else is doing. So I'm a fan of JOMO, not FOMO.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
There is so much going on, and you can get caught up, and it's almost like you're supposed to have an abundant mindset, not a scarcity mindset.
Yeah.
And then even with that clubhouse thing the other day, and I think I said to you, I said, "No, I just have to come out." I just needed to relax because it was just too much at the time, and yeah, it's good to miss out on stuff.
Yeah.
Sort of.
The joy comes from running your own path and being in your own lane and sticking to your purpose and plan, and being strong in your own identity and your own why.
100%. And kind of going back to what you were saying about the relationship that you have with God, I would also say that regardless what anyone believes or wants to believe, or I think it says a lot about you because it's guiding you, and that guidance at how it's guiding you is having a massive impact on the people that come into contact with you, because you bring it basically.
Oh, thanks. That's nice. Yeah. So sometimes I feel like I might be a little bit overbearing with it, where it's like, I don't need it ramming down my throat, Alison. If I want to go to church, I'll go to church. I'll do it in my own way. But I think out of 100 people, 1 read the Bible and 99 read the Christian. So I just like to think of myself that I'm a walking, talking example of the glory of God, and like the redeeming, transforming impact he's had on my life. And I just want that for everybody. It's like, to me, it's like everlasting, true, emotional freedom, satisfying purpose. We get stuff all the time, don't we? And it's like it gives us a high for a moment. Even success to a certain degree, wealth, it gives us some choice, it gives us some freedom, it gives us a high. But there's always a next level. Someone's always got more. And the thing with God is only God can satisfy like my insatiable desire for more. But it's not more of me, it's more of him and what he wants to do through me. I'm just a vessel.
There you go. And you're doing great things.
We've spoken a lot about God today, haven't we? I didn't intend to, but
no, that's okay. But I think it's important, and again, I don't think you're preaching. I think you're just explaining, and that's the purpose of the interview. You're explaining about your journey, and I know we've not scratched the surface on some of the traumas. I know that.
Yeah. I don't really look like the pain that I've been through.
No.
And that's because of God. That's because of God. That is totally God.
No, I think that's good. And through teaching, like through what I do, we get from all backgrounds carrying a lot, and some with more than others. And so, yeah, it's worked, basically. Whatever you've done has worked. Okay. So if you could go back, like if we could get a DeLorean and go, hit to 80 and go back in time, and you could give yourself one piece of advice, just one,
yeah,
to your younger self, but without obviously changing the fact we do want to have children. We want our same children. But what one piece of advice do you think you would give yourself?
Don't compare yourself to anybody else, because you are a unique creation crafted by the master architect, and you're one of a kind. There's only one you. And so why would you look at that person and go, oh, well, they're slimmer. Oh, they're getting all the boys. Oh, why am I not popular? Oh, who's going to love me one day and marry me? This is the sort of thing I would think as a 18-year-old. Don't know why I had that voice. But anyway. If I was secure in myself, the trajectory could have gone very differently. But I'm not complaining, because I'm now like in a fabulously brilliant self-esteem, and our purpose doesn't have a deadline on it. It's like, again, God's timing. He'll decide when the time is right for the season that you're in. So, but yeah, that's what I'd say to anybody who suffers with that comparisonitis type of thinking.
I think many of us do. I know I've been through it. And even every now and then, even on Mastermind sometimes, I think I felt like the little kid that's just gone up to big school.
Yeah.
And I knew it would be so important for me, and it has. I've been on that for about 6 months. and it has benefited me so much, and it's taken me in directions I never even dreamed of. And I think part of me, I knew that people, you know, are way ahead, and that was good because I can chase it. I was more concerned, I just want to give back. How can I, because I hate to take and not be able to at least give something back in return. So yeah, and you kind of, and I think sometimes a little bit like what we said, it's, you know, you said that the joy of not getting involved really. So I don't need to do all the things that everyone else is doing because that's their journey and it's not my journey.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's great advice.
We've all been created to do different things in different ways at different times for different reasons. So being in a mastermind with other great thinkers and doers is brilliant as long as you know who you are, because you could get easily swayed, you could feel inferior, you could, you know, do that comparison stuff. And yeah, rather than, you know, just turning up, learning what you need to learn, celebrating the others appropriately, you know. That's the thing with being good and being successful. You do get a lot of approval from others.
Yeah.
But that can be quite dangerous too. Because then you're only doing it for the approval, perhaps, or it becomes a bit like a drug. So the only approval I want is God to say, "Well done, Alison. You've done a good phase 1 of life. Now let's come and have a big party in heaven. Come on."
Definitely. No, that's some really good advice. My screen's just done something, but no one else can see that. Yeah, and really interesting. I think listening to your journey as well. And last year, obviously the lockdown happened, and it shifted where I wanted to go with the business. And I think by the end of last year, it got to the point where I love teaching, I love helping, but like you, I felt I could do more. So I think part of the reason I went on that mastermind was it was something from here. I thought, should I do coaching? Should I do this? Should I do that? And it shifted, and I feel like I'm on a new path, which is where I want to be. And again, isn't it? It's just, I think. Do you feel we have a need to give?
Some people do. I think giving is there's almost like a hidden joy in giving, because giving feels better than taking, in my book anyway. You know, I think that's why, like, my take on wealth is that you only need a certain level to live happy in life, really. Anything beyond that, I know it's their own money, they can do what they want with it, you know, they've earned it, but I just think, wow, what, you know, like the perspective, I think because I've got a different perspective on the value of money. I do consider myself a good steward of money. I know, like, what £1,000 could do for somebody, yet some people might choose to buy a pair of designer shoes with that, you know. And I don't know, it's the wrestle I have sometimes, but it's not my job to judge other people. That's just how I view wealth. I think once you get to a certain level, it's all about giving back and ploughing it into, you know, bigger missions in life, reaching more people with it, funding underprivileged people. And that's why a lot of, I guess, millionaires, billionaires, they do all these philanthropic things, because they know that the money, yeah, it's given them a certain level of happiness, but that deep satisfaction in your soul, that can only be gained by doing other things.
And you don't always hear about it either.
Yeah.
You don't hear about some of the things that, you know, the billionaires do for charity. And of course, I know they got, yeah. But yeah, I think I figure giving's, you know, it is so rewarding, and
It is.
And I found well, for me, it's a need, basically. But in the need, I don't want the thanks. It's nice when you get it.
Yeah, not a dysfunctional need. Yeah, not a dysfunctional need. Like,
no.
You know, when you need other people you need to be needed. Yeah, that's not
No.
like an adult state, is it? But yeah. So it's good to do new things. It's good to study again. It's good to expand, what you know again. It's good to go in a different group and be the newbie, like you said. It's good. It's, we are meant to evolve and grow, I think, all forever. That, I think.
100%. That is,
Yeah.
I think that's a big part of the plan.
Mm-hmm.
To grow and evolve and to be able to not limit, I didn't want to limit myself to just that. I needed to push to that and to here. And I felt, I guess for a few years, it's just, I just need to just, anyway, we're on that track and it's not about me tonight. So there we go. See, look how empathic you are.
It can be. It can be about you. Do you want me to ask you a question?
No, you're okay. You're okay. I have got about 2 more questions for you. Next time when you get your podcast, Allison.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
That must be coming after tonight.
Who knows?
What's trending? So because we talked about loads of different things, but obviously, you're a stylist now. So what's trending at the moment in the fashion world? I know the answer.
What's trending? I don't do trends, Matt. Sorry to answer that.
Well,
you know why? Because trends have this habit of making everyone look the same. And personal style is totally unique. So it's like what's fashionable versus what's stylish on you, and how you dress that makes you feel more me. Like that's what I'm interested in, not whether you should get, a gingham dress this year with a puff shoulder, whatever. So yeah, I'm less about trend and more about personal style.
I like that. I got a thing that if I see someone wearing the same t-shirt, I'm like, oh, flipping heck. It's just quite hard when you run a martial arts center because everyone's got the same t-shirt on, but that's different.
Yeah, that's like a kind of, uniform in a way, isn't it?
I'm only being silly with
that. Fitness uniform.
Yeah. No, I just see someone so yeah, probably need a.
One of my pet hates on Instagram as well is people who put commentary out. It's going back to the trend question, where it's like 2 women in the same dress, and they go, "Who wore it better, A or B?" And I'm like, why are you encouraging this kind of like, oh no, look at her. Oh, compared to her. I don't know why the American accent came out there, but anyway.
It's independent.
Why? Is that the best content you can really come out with? Who wore it better? It's personal style. Everybody's got a personal, silhouette and a different style personality and different lifestyle. So who cares who wore it better in whose opinion? I'm like, is this really a debate you want to have?
Do you know what? You're 100% right. And I think, to be honest, if you are starting a podcast, it's good things to be putting out there.
It's good for clickbait, though, isn't it? That's it's just clickbait.
Yeah, but is it helping the world? Not really.
Exactly.
I think again,
it fuels that comparison stuff.
I think you should be in the schools talking about what you're talking. I'm serious.
Yeah, good idea.
Yeah, because it all.
Here's a style coming to a school near you soon.
You've been there for 100%.
Start the entrepreneurial mindset stuff. Oh gosh, yeah. Because then it'll be schools and colleges and universities. Won't just stop at schools. That's it going.
Yeah, no, that's always going off on one. I know Emily was watching.
You're right. Who's watching?
Emily was watching off.
Okay.
So from my mask one, so she.
Has my mum tuned in? Lynn, is she what? Can you see who's watching?
I can't see who's watching. I can see comments. There we go. We had Jeanette. Hi, Jeanette.
Oh, hi, Jeanette. I actually went to school with Jeanette, and we
Did
didn't
you?
know until we were on Rob's mastermind.
No, I interviewed
Yeah,
you earlier.
we
Yeah,
both went to Stratford Grammar School.
brilliant.
Yeah.
Thank you, Melinda. Sure.
Melinda didn't know half of that. Wow. Okay.
And Josephine's left a few comments for you.
You
There
have
you
the
go.
God glow. Yeah, there's a certain luminosity that happens when it's just to do with identity. Just forget God for a moment, park God for 1 second. My identity has been discovered, like my true identity in Him. But identity is massive.
Definitely.
Who are you? Who are you when you're not on Instagram, when you're not doing a live with Matt Rudman? Who are you when you've got no fans or followers? Who's the core that's left then? Do you still like her? Nah.
Last
Tiffany.
one.
Oh, Tiffany. Hi, Tiffany. Tiffany's my fellow Clubhouse moderator in our narcissism rooms. Yeah. Looking forward to meeting Tiffany one day, actually, in person.
So was she in the room that I came in that time, or was that someone else?
Yeah. I think she was.
Brilliant. We covered so much. Thank you for coming on, Alison. All right, and it's, oh my gosh, we dived deep.
It's been a blast.
It's been an hour.
I can't believe I was even panicking about what's he going to ask me. I don't like doing stuff that I don't know the pre-asked questions for. But I think I actually prefer it.
Do you know, I was surprised because I just, again, I think I had the assumption that you maybe have done. Oh, your mum is here. Is this your mum?
Is she?
There you go.
Yes, I'm here. Hi, Mum.
Hello. Yeah, because obviously done a lot of the Clubhouse.
Yeah.
But yeah, you've done great interview. I've enjoyed it. I can't believe we've gone past the time, but it doesn't matter. Thank you so much. But before you go, make sure you put all your links below. I think I put some in the comments, but I think because this comes live on Facebook, it does it as a separate post. How can people get in contact with you for, having you as a stylist?
Simply yearsofstyle.com. Everything is on there.
Everything's
nice and easy.
Oh, brilliant. Thank you so much. Don't go anywhere. I'm just going to say goodbye to everyone. I'll chat you 2 minutes in the virtual room. But thank you so much for coming on. I'd love to have you back because I feel there's lots to talk about. We'll have to get Jeanette on there as well. We'll have to do a three-way chat or something. But thank you so much. All right, guys, thank you for watching. And don't forget, if you're watching this or listening to it on the podcast or on YouTube or wherever you are, don't forget to subscribe, give it a share, and of course, go out, check out Alison's website. Yay, bye, peace, and love.
Thank you.